Welcome to Tenkaichi Podcast, number one under heaven for martial discussion. And now get ready for the new episode. Welcome back on Tenkaichi Podcast. Today, the episode, I decided to talk about a movie, of course, a martial art movie, a very famous one. I hope you've already seen it, because we're gonna talk about some spoilers. So the film, the movie is a Hero from 2002 in China, but actually was released in the US in 2004 because of Quentin Tarantino. Actually, in fact, on the movie poster have like a big letter from Quentin Tarantino. I don't know what in Italian was it, something like this, but it doesn't have anything to do with the movie. Only that basically the Miramax films, both the distribution right. The distribution right was from Miramax, but they delayed for 2 years basically the release of the movie. And then finally Quentin Tarantino eventually convinced Miramax to open the film in America on August 2004. This movie is a wuxia type of movie. It's like a Asian fantasy. It's like the Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon, where the people fly with the sword. They look like weightless, really flying, like magic, but like a kung fu magic. And it's starring Jet Li. Also there is a Donnie Yen that became famous later in the West. And it's also based, that's why I wanted to talk about this movie, is based on the story of Jin Qi's assassinations attempt on the king of Qin. Basically there is the emperor, the king of Qin was well, let's talk about the history. Let's talk about the story of the movie. Okay, the plot. So if you haven't seen it yet, I'm gonna tell you when it starts to be spoilery. I'm gonna tell the story, the first part of the story, then I'll tell you, okay, that's spoiler, and come back in a few minutes. Let's start with the plot. In ancient China, during the Warring States period, Nameless, a Qin prefect, arrives at the Qin capital city to meet the king of Qin, of course, who had survived an attempt on his life by the assassin Long Sky, Flying Snow, and Broken Sword. These are the name of the three assassins. As a result, the king has implemented extreme security measures. No visitors are allowed to approach the king within 100 paces. Nameless, the name of the star of this movie, claims that he has slain the three assassins, and he displays their weapons before the king, who allows the former to approach within 10 paces and tell him his story. Nameless recounts his first killing Long Sky, before traveling to meet Flying Snow and Broken Sword, who had taken refuge at the calligraphy school in the Chao state. He tells Sword that he is there to commission a calligraphy scroll with a character for Sword, secretly seeking to learn sword skill through his calligraphy. Nameless also learned that Snow and Sword, who are lovers, had gradually grown distant. Once the scroll is complete, Nameless reveals his identity and challenges Snow to a duel the next day to avenge her secret lover Long Sky. Sword, in anger at Snow's betrayal to him, makes love to his pupil Moon and is seen by Snow. In revenge, Snow kills Sword, followed by Moon when she attempts to seek revenge for her master. The next day, Nameless kills the emotionally unstable Snow before the Qin army and claims her sword. Okay, from now here it's a big spoiler, so come back, and if you haven't seen it, I think 3 minutes maybe. Let's continue with the plot. As the tale concludes, the king expresses disbelief and accused Nameless of staging the duels with the assassins. As in the previous assassination attempt, he had perceived Sword as an honorable man who would not stoop so low as to cheat on Snow. The king then suggests that what really happened was that the assassins volunteered their lives so that Nameless could gain the king's trust, which would allow Nameless to get close enough to the king to kill him. He then narrates his guess at what really happened. In the king's hypothetical version of the story, Nameless had sought out Snow and Sword after staging the battle with Sky, telling them that he had acquired a special technique that would allow him to kill any target that is within 10 pieces. Nameless explains that he can use this technique to kill the king, but to get close enough, he must present Snow's and Sword's weapon to the king. He further explains that they only needs to kill one of them in public to prove that he has killed both of them. Snow and Sword argue over how should be the one to die, which results in a short fight in which Snow is quicker and manages to injure Sword. Snow then proceeds to meet Nameless before the Qin army, while Sword, still recovering from his wound, watches helplessly as Snow is defeated. Moon then gives Nameless her master's sword, telling him that the swords of Snow and Sword should remain together in death as they had in life. Nameless admits that he does indeed possess the special technique the king alluded to. However, he states that the king had underestimated Sword and tells the true story. Nameless says that the special technique, while deadly, can also be used to deal a seemingly fatal blow that nonetheless misses all the victim's vital organs. He had used this technique on Sky, and now asks Snow and Sword to cooperate by faking a duel with him as well. He demonstrates the technique by showing that it is highly accurate as well as deadly. Snow agrees to the plan, but Sword refuses. Snow angrily accuses Sword of ruining the opportunity they had 3 years ago, when they had broken into the Qin palace, yet Sword had refused to kill the king. She then attacks Sword and managed to wound him with Nameless' help. The next day, Nameless kills Snow in front of the Qin army. Sword sends Nameless to the Qin capital, writing the words Tianxia in the sand before leaving in order to persuade the Nameless reconsidering the assassination. Sword had not killed King 3 years ago because he desired a unified, peaceful state, and only the King of China could achieve that vision. The king, touched by the tale and by Sword's understanding of his dream to unify China, ceases to fear Nameless. He tosses his sword to Nameless and examines the scroll drawn by Sword. the king understands that it describes the ideal warrior, who paradoxically should have no desire to kill. When Nameless realizes the wisdom of these words, he abandons his mission and spares the king. When Snow learns that Sword had convinced Nameless to forego the assassination, she furiously attacks Sword and unintentionally kills him when he chooses not to defend himself, so that she would understand his feeling for her. Overwhelmed with sorrow, Snow commits suicide. Urged by his court, the king reluctantly orders Nameless to be executed at the Qin Palace for his assassination attempt. He understands that in order to unify the nation, he must enforce the law and use Nameless as an example. Nameless receives a hero's funeral, and a closing text identifies the king of Qin, Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. And let's finish with another spoiler. I read the comic book, the manhwa, and at the end it was a different ending. I don't know if they did it like to not to spoiler, let's say, the movie, but he in this comic book he learned the technique because I think Tianxia, it means everything under the heaven, and so he modified his death on 10 pieces with under the heaven, so he could like kill everybody or like survive, let's say, from the last part. Anyway, we finish the spoiler over here, and let's talk a little bit about this movie. So the movie, we said, is a wuxia. The wuxia type of movie are really not realistic. Okay, so we say about magic, kung fu magic, people flying, but here is also justified because all the fight we see, they are in storytelling. So people are telling about this fight, and so it's like kind of the imagination of the people listening, also like how colorful people is explaining the fight, you know, because these are legendary assassins, and also the king just survived 3 years before, so it's like making bigger fights. So it's kind of justified, but also it's very poetic. There are different the story is told more time, like 4 times, and every time has a different color. So the first time when Nameless is talking about the story, is everything is red, and then it change in the next time is like everything is blue and then green, and so it's very good to see, like the photography, it's very good. And actually I suggest to watch this movie not for the action. Okay, so if you go to take this movie, to rent it or to find it somewhere like in Amazon or some streaming service, because you want to watch an action movie, you will be unfortunately not satisfied, because it's not for the action. Also, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, it's also not really an action movie, even if I really like the fighting sequence, but you watch the movie for the story, and yes, for the poetry that there is in it. Like, don't think that is like a Jackie Chan movie. Jet Li is also famous for his many movies, of course. One a period piece. He did also Fearless, which is more action than this one, even if have something a little bit of wuxia. So sometimes they do a little fight, but like a not realistic fight, but mostly is realistic. And action also is a story based from history, but this one is more for the philosophy. For example, the word, the tianxia, is like another way of write sword, he said in the movie. There are like 15, I think, way to say sword, because every region has its own language, and so that's why he wanted the unification. And it's more the story about the unification, and also what does it mean to be a warrior. Let's say a warrior is somebody that doesn't seek war, but seek peace. And so it's very meaningful, very good. I would suggest to watch this movie for this purpose here. The actor, we said, there is Jet Li, and also Donnie Yang, that's doing Long Sky. We have also another actress from Hidden Dragon, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which is Zhang Ziyi. She's doing Moon. And then other Chinese actors and actress, Tony Leung, Maggie Cheng, and Chen Daoming, which they are not really famous in the Western cinema, but they're really good on this movie. What are the things to say? Talking about the Tianxia, which literally means under heaven, and is a phrase to mean the world. The world is under heaven. For its that's also some critics says is explanation. Also the emperor have to like seek the unification of the world, everything under the heaven. Of course, they're talking about their part, the China part. Yeah, I think there's nothing else to say about it. If you have seen it and you want to tell me your opinion about it, or if you have other movie to suggest that we can talk about it, we can see it. Maybe we can talk about the Hong Kong movie in the future. And I'm gonna remind you the Instagram channel Tenkaichi Tournament, also on Facebook, and my personal Master Simone Marini Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, where you can find training videos and other like quotes and everything else. For now, bye, and train always and train good.